UCLA comes to Corvallis for the first time in 4 years. How do the Beavers get ready? With a pep talk from one of our very own. Hashtag Beavers Football starts right now. So glad you're with us on this Friday night as we get ready for the Bruins visit. It's been a while. We come to you live from downtown Portland at the Blitz Lad in Southeast. Welcome to Hashtag Beavers Football. I'm Katie Brown, along with Slade Norris and Nigel Burton. And of course, we always love when you join the show by tweeting in your comments, your questions to them at Hashtag BeaversFB. So, first off, of course, everybody's excited about the Bruins coming to town. They got a pretty experienced team. But first, what did we learn out of the Utah game? It was a rough start to that game. But I was a little worried after those first couple of drives. But the Beavers pulled it together. Didn't win. Any moral victories out of it?
You know, I liked what I saw with the defense. After those first two series, a lot of rushing yards that game, but 110 of the 174 they got were in those first two series. After that, they settled down, got things going both on offense and on defense, and defense kind of played with tenacity. Utah's a real tough physical team, and they really matched them punch for punch the rest of the game.
Well, there's no such thing as moral victory. But more importantly, Lindsey Schnell. Listen,
You had to
I
get
hope
right
you're watching.
to it.
You better be watching. Sit at home. Because I heard that you called me out for, you said the Beavers would lose by 50. Listen, this is what happened. They asked me what shocking could happen last weekend. And I didn't really know because it was like all the favorites are going to win and it's boring. So they were like, I don't know, man. Maybe they could lose by 50. I mean, you think about the Beavers were losing their starting quarterback. They're playing at Utah, who is really mad that they lost at USC, all those different things. I'm like, it could be bad.
It could be bad.
And so they're like, well, just say that. Just say that they're going to lose by 50. I'm like, all right, fine. So I flipped the thing. I got annihilated.
Are you saying you were a scapegoat here?
Oh, it was bad. And then they kept throwing me up. I'm like, listen, I didn't say it was going to happen. I was just saying, like, it could happen.
So is there something in particular you'd like to say to Ms. Schnell?
I'm watching for you. Just saying. You better be watching right now. Sitting at home, I'm telling you.
All I can say is continue to predict 50-point losses. I like the way we played.
No, I don't want to do that. I want wins. We're going to predict wins. No.
All right. Well, of course, we got to see in that game Nick Mitchell with Seth Collins injured, and Seth will sit out this game against UCLA too as he recovers from that sort of freak injury we're finding out during at practice last Thursday. First impressions of Nick with him having command of the whole game.
I'm letting you go first on this.
You don't want me to go
No, I'm going to throw you under.
Thanks. God, I love being on this show with these guys. Awesome. He did a nice job versus a really good defense. But I'll still say, a 54% completion percentage is not going to win you a lot of games in the Pac-12. QBR of 112 is a lot higher than the one I saw in terms of his QBR. I saw a QBR of 48 for this game.
That's what I saw.
I'm not sure where 112 came from. A QBR of 48 is not good enough to win in this conference. He did some nice things. He kept his composure, had some nice runs. And we'll talk later about who might be the long-term answer, well, at least for this season. But he held his own.
Picking out who's going to start, from here on out, we'll talk about later. But I really like to give Nick at least one more shot in this next game because
which he'll have.
He will, but he hasn't had the practice time that Seth has had. He's been a third-string quarterback until basically last week before that game, and so developing the timing with those wide receivers, it takes some time to get that under his belt. And once you get out there for the first time under fire, being a freshman quarterback, I think for his first game, 9-12 in the first half. He got a little out of hand in the second when he was trying to press to make some plays when they got down. I want to see him one more time.
I don't think you have a choice.
Yeah.
I think you're good.
Yeah. You will be seeing him for sure tomorrow. All right, well, it's time for the Toyota interview. Toyota, let's go places. And, well, after these guys have their say, Gary Croton and Dave Baldwin, here's what they had to say about the play of Nick Mitchell.
This is the second time he's played, first time he's started, and I think that he's gotten better, and hopefully he'll continue to improve going into this next game too. So, when you're a young starter at quarterback, it takes a little bit of time to get used to everybody, and I thought that he did a good job.
Do you think that he has any strength? Did you see anything that you were like, oh, wow, that's going to be a good trait for him to keep?
Well, he reads the offense and runs the offense very well. He's very coachable, tries to do what the coaches want him to do, and then he can run the football. I was impressed with some of the times when he ran the football. He broke a few tackles and gained yards in rushing, so that'll make him as a dual threat, and it'll be harder for other teams to defend him.
It's attention to detail, lining up the people in the right place, making sure the running back's on the right side in protections and doing the right thing there, and then understanding the reads and the progression that you have with those reads. Sometimes it's not forcing the ball down the field, it's underneath, and he just kept doing the right things in practice, and we saw the progression, and he played well on Saturday. I thought there was one opportunity that we missed late in the game to Villy down the seam. If he hits that, it's probably a touchdown, but the kid came in and really played well.
Trying to be the first guy, there every single day, and then just continuing to work hard every single day in practice. And while you may not be getting the physical reps, just taking the mental reps every single day and just giving it your all and just taking advantage of every rep that you're given. I was excited. I was just, ready for my opportunity to be able to go out there and, go play football. Being 2 years removed from, starting my last game, it was, pretty awesome to finally get back out there.
Well, he performed well enough and with enough composure that at least fans are asking, should he be the starter for the rest of the season? Obviously, he'll be the starter tomorrow against UCLA, and then we'll see, when Seth Collins is healthy enough to play again. But too soon. One outing, like you said, Nigel. What do you do if Seth Collins were available? Who would you be starting against UCLA?
There's an old saying, everybody's favorite player on the team is the backup quarterback, right? It's always that way. When you look at everything from top to bottom, when you start from completion percentage, yards, touchdown versus interception ratio, QBR, and the fact that Seth Collins is your leading rusher. At every single category, I get it. I understand why the casual fan would ask that question. But, you don't, not that he's LeBron, but you don't bench your best player because maybe he had an off day or because he got hurt. And so I just, Seth Collins gives you the best chance, especially if this is for the UCLA game. To me, it would be a no-brainer when you consider how bad UCLA is versus the run. The fact that Seth Collins might be the most explosive quarterback in the conference. Maybe Gerard Randall is in that same category in terms of explosiveness, running the football from the quarterback position. No, I wouldn't. I would start Seth first. And I think he's earned it. When you look at his numbers, he's a leading rusher. There's no category where Nick can say, hey, I've done better than Seth. And I understand, hey, it was his first start, but it was also first starts for Seth, and some other things. So, that's my opinion.
Oh, I'm with you on that one.
I'm going to go against you both.
No, why not?
Yeah. We know what Seth can do. This season isn't going to be a season we're fighting for a bowl game. And so this season is basically the rest of it just trying to find stuff for the future. We don't know if Seth is the future right now. They got a Utah State transfer who's doing real well on the scout team in practice. He could be the future next year.
I think he's the answer. And the problem with doing this, though, is yanking back and forth, is you have a young quarterback. And the only thing that those guys can go on when they're struggling so bad, because they're just earning their stripes like every other kid. They just can't do it in practice. They're doing it in front of 50,000 people, is their confidence. And they yank him and sit him down, and not because, hey, this was our plan, like it was going on earlier in the season, but because we don't think you're playing good enough. When he's looking at the stats going, what do you mean I'm not playing? I'm beating all these other guys in every category. What more do you want from me? That's a great way to have the guy walk in your office and say, you know what, I'm transferring. Because this isn't right. I'm beating him in every category you can come up with, and yet you're going to bench me. And so, he's young, and he's going to continue to get better too.
If Nick comes out and doesn't have a great game against UCLA, then yes, I can see that argument. But if Seth were healthy for this game, I guess it's hard because I'd still start him because UCLA can't stop the run at all. But if they could, I would start Nick.
Why?
Because I want to see what he can do for one more game. I want to give him a chance to have an actual first-team reps, an entire week of practice, which he's never had before until this last week.
But, is there a skill set thing that you're saying that, he's a better passer or he's a better...
So far right now with Seth, he can run the ball. He's a phenomenal athlete. As far as working from the pocket and leading the Beavers in the future, I'm not convinced. Nick might be able to do that.
I am not a fan traditionally of a guy losing his job because he's injured. I know it's happened at times, but I don't know that Nick Mitchell, and he was getting some snaps anyway, so we were going to see it, but I don't know that he was performing.
Her favorite player is Alex Smith.
Oh, come on. Hey, the guy that took his job is out too, right? Okay. Well, it happens. All right. Still to come on hashtag Beavers football. Later on, the keys to the game, what Oregon State needs to do to pull off the upset, and no quarterback controversy for the Bruins. Their star freshman, what he brings to the table when we come back.
Rosen into the end zone. Touchdown, UCLA.
Josh Rosen's first touchdown as a collegiate quarterback.
Rosen floating, end zone, touchdown.
Rosen keeps it, fires. A dart in the slant, and a touchdown.
Good protection for Rosen, wants the deep ball. Jordan Payton, he's got it inside the 15.
And that is a dominating drive down the field.
Well, he looks like a baby because he is, right? 18 years old, true freshman Josh Rosen, who is delivering for UCLA so far this season, putting up some big wins, of course, coming up a tight win over Colorado last week where he had back-to-back big passes to set up the game-winning drive there, but he's just been pretty impressive so far. He's good.
I mean, when you talk to the guys down at UCLA, they say that he was the biggest recruit they've had at UCLA since, wait till you hear this name, Troy Aikman.
Hey,
That's what,
I was at UCLA when Troy Aikman
there you
was
go.
there.
I mean, that's the kind of hype he came in with, and he delivered. I mean, when you saw from the moment he took those first snaps against Virginia, I mean, the timing, the kind of balls, the way that he can fit a ball into a tight window. I mean, you see him throwing the back shoulder fade, his understanding of the offense. I mean, it was scary watching him, thinking this guy is a true freshman and was just playing in high school a number of months ago. You know, and I kind of think the same thing of Luke Falk sometimes at Washington State. I forget the fact that he's a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
You forget that Josh Rosen is a true freshman, the way that he is able to maneuver around there, and it's pretty freakish to watch.
And just to handle that pressure, because UCLA was seen as a dark horse playoff contender this year. The only question mark was him. I mean, everybody's saying the rest of your team's great. We got no idea how you are. So if you guys don't go to the playoffs, it's your fault. And now all of a sudden the season starts, all their defenders go down, and so he's had to carry this team. They've had to outscore every single opponent in order to win that game. So, I mean, be able to do that as a true freshman and become a leader on that team, that's really impressive what he's done.
And he's got a running back.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's pretty good, too. A guy named Paul Perkins. He gets his job done, so the Bruins offense, a motor there. Paul Perkins averaging just under 10 yards per rush against Colorado last week. Will he have over or under that amount against the Beavers? Ian writes in.
Under.
I'm under.
Because if I ever say anything disparaging against the Beavs again, even in a joking
Lindsay
off the
Schnell.
yes, and I will be forced to have to wrestle her or something like that. No, he will not average 10. But I mean, Paul Perkins is a dude. There's only one running back in the Pac-12. I would take Royce Freeman over Paul, and it would be close. I would take him before Devontae Booker. I'd take him before Christian McCaffrey in terms of being a pure running back.
Well, there
now,
you have
if it's a guy who, you know, you can get the ball to in any which way, who's the best overall player, I'd take Christian McCaffrey.
Okay, I was gonna.
But in terms of a pure running back, that's his job. I'd take Paul Perkins.
You talk about blocking, receiving out of the backfield, everything.
Just being a running back, toting the ball, operating in space, having to also run between the tackles. Now, I would take Royce Freeman first. I mean, I think he's a freak, but short of him, yeah.
We saw on that graphic that Oregon State has played 3 of the top 5 running backs so far, and held Devontae Booker to right around his average last weekend. Christian McCaffrey's the one that really racked it up, but then they still have Royce Freeman, of course, on the schedule coming up. But they at least pulled it together last week after Utah just went run 11 times in a row to start that game.
Wow. Yes.
I mean, if you look at them just the first quarter, look at that film, and then look at the rest of the game, it's completely different. Guys in the first quarter were out of position, you know, like the rest of the season. They're trying to do too much. They're messing up with their gap alignments. All of a sudden, the rest of the game, they're fighting. They're in the backfield against Utah. Yeah, against a Utah team that's very good. And so I think they'll hold him down this week. I mean, they're not going to shut him down by any means, but I don't think a 100-yard game will happen with him.
Not a 100-yard game.
Yeah, I think they're going to take him out.
Wow. Huh. All right, we'll see. All right, we've been talking about Lindsay Schnell a little bit on the show, right? Well, now you are up, Slade. We would like to follow up on something that came up as a topic of conversation on Talking Beavers.
This is a true freshman, 5-star, #1 quarterback in the country, according to most recruiting services, and he's handled it well, Slade.
He has, but he's had a lot of help from his wide receivers with Peyton. They roomed together when he first came into fall camp. They were roommates. He's kind of mentored him through the process. Did they have the hot tub
in their room?
I can't guarantee that. I'm not sure.
Slade, did you ever have a hot tub in your dorm room? Are you regretting that that's something that...
You know,
I'm scared to hear the answer to this. Suddenly.
I don't know how to answer this on TV. So.
I don't think you need to.
Well, there you have it. The hot tub.
I never had that. I don't know what I would have. That could have got me in some trouble.
But you had that.
Okay. You know what? I got to admit it. Benny and I were hanging out occasionally freshman year over in the dorms. It was a good time. You got to stay loose. You know, you heat up before practice and you go out.
Moment.
I think I've been emotionally scarred by this TV show. Between you in the hot tub and you with the tight, really unbelievably tight orange pants. And we actually didn't even have to like superimpose your head on those pants.
I'm a little
those
red
really
from the sun too.
Your mom is over there. We might need to have a conversation.
My mom is here tonight. I hope she's not seeing this.
Oh my God.
I'll have some explaining to do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, from that picture, it's tough to think that anyone would take you seriously, but they did. They did. No, they did down in Corvallis. When we come back, Slade's pep talk that he gave the Beavers to get them ready for the Bruins.
Didn't have to do with the hot tub.
No hot tub talk.
Or orange pants.
Slade gave a pretty lengthy speech there at the end of practice. Kind of what was his message to the group?
Slade was awesome. You know, I didn't tell him to say one thing. Say whatever you want to say, but it was amazing what he kind of hit. You know, he hit on who we are. You know, what Oregon State is as a football program. It's built on toughness. It's built on accountability, a family atmosphere. He talked about his teams that he played on that were here, and I didn't know he was on that 2008 team, so I actually coached on the field when he was there. And but he just reflected a lot of those things that we believe, the core beliefs of what we can get done here, and you know, playing together. He talked about playing in Reeser in those special times when they beat #1 SC, and let those kids understand that you know, those things are out there for them, but they have to be a tight-knit group, play as a team, play as a family, and then also hit hard on the accountability factor. What they do academically, what they do socially, how they carry themselves as a team is so important, and any successful team he's been on has really policed themselves. And amazingly, he used the word police themselves, just like I use all the time with the kids. So they probably think I told them to say that, but I didn't. I didn't tell them to say one thing.
He looks like a proud father. Slade delivers. You stand up and you deliver. Police yourselves. The coach was just like, dude, you hit a touchdown pass with your speech.
Well,
how did this come about? Did he reach out to you?
He was talking to Mike Parker from, I guess he was watching the show Talking Beavs, and
or hashtag Beavers Football.
Or hashtag Beavers Football.
I'm not
sure which one it was, but it was one of the two. And I must have said something that struck a chord with them, so we reached out to Mike, and Mike gave him the contact info, and we talked, and we got down there.
So he basically told what your whole speech here, but did you practice? What was the main message you wanted to leave with them?
I just really wanted to talk about toughness, about, you know, because we had a lot of teams that started so bad in the beginning of the season. And then we're able to turn around and face that adversity and come together as a team and ended up having some great seasons. So I talked a lot about that, because we had some special teams back then with awesome leadership. And these teams, I mean, like I said, they kind of policed themselves. They didn't need the coaches to get on our butt all the time. I mean, we had a lot of guys who really wanted to be out there working hard because they loved the game of football. And so they'd push each other. And not to say we didn't have some great coaches, because we did.
Nigel.
Who? Huh? Okay. But I just talked about my relationship with those teams, and then my path throughout college. You know, I started as a freshman, and I was awful. I mean, Coach will talk about this. I was so bad. I was a safety wearing number 94, looking ugly as heck. And I really lost a lot of faith in myself going through. And then a guy named Joey LaRock came in, transferred from college to the Canyons. He's this crazy guy who had the biggest chip on his shoulder in the world. You know, he outworked everyone, and he brought me out of it, kind of got me working hard again, got me back out in the field, and that's where things turned around. So I wanted them to realize that Anybody can turn into anything on the team if you push them hard enough to. And I was a nobody, and Joey really helped me to develop into somebody special.
I love how it's humble pie. I was nobody. There was a reason we offered it.
Well,
and to be honest, the other guy really was Vic Butler. I mean, between the two of them, they were the best bookend ends, in my opinion, in the country. And they competed with each other. And Vic probably, when he showed up, wasn't the hardest worker either. And what happened was when you guys all kind of gelled together and started to push each other. And that's what you're looking for this team is, nobody's a finished product. You don't get finished products to Oregon State. You just don't. That can win at the Pac-12 level. You have to develop. And that's what we did a great job of with you and Vic and, you go through Keenan Lewis and all those guys who kind of came through that place who, when they first showed up, weren't finished products. But then, became Brandon Hughes, was a wide receiver. And, Sammy Starter was a wing T running back. He wasn't a wide receiver. He didn't know how to catch. And so, but they developed into something. And that's what these guys can do. They can develop into something special. They just have to believe in themselves and continue to push. And, the difference is, too, is they're getting trial by fire a little bit. And so, my hope is that, what you said, reach them. There's always those 2 or 3 knuckleheads that are like, yeah, whatever. I mean, when are we getting out of here? But hopefully they listen to the wisdom that you had because, your story is awesome.
I think I resonated with a lot of the guys and they were paying attention, but I do know that they were looking over my shoulder during part of it because Coach Anderson's wife was back behind me bringing up the candy bars. They were real excited about that. I met her, and she's awesome. I like her almost as much as I like
It doesn't
Gary.
change from, like when it's like youth football, like, hey, listen, I'm just here for the snacks.
Exactly. The coach's wife has candy.
Just give me the Z-Bar and the Capri Sun, and I'm out of here.
All right. Well, that's really cool. And I think it's cool Coach reached out, that you did it. That's exactly the kind of thing we need in this program bringing together. So congrats, Slade, and good job.
Thank you.
I can tell that Coach approved.
If
All
they
right.
win, it's all on me this week.
When we come back next, we're going to get back to the quarterback. We had already talked about, some of the starting, the passing. We're going to get a little bit into the quarterback running. Stick with us on #Beavers Football. It is time for Nigel to sprinkle his football wisdom on us.
Go for it.
It's time for Burton's Breakdown, brought to you by Standard TV and Appliance, setting the standard since 1947. What do you have, Nigel?
Well, I appreciate you laying it on real thick there because my knowledge is, But, one thing we wanted to talk about was this week playing against UCLA, the worst run defense in the Pac-12, 208 yards given up per game. Nick Mitchell's legs actually might be more important than his arm this week. Taking a look at the InFocus Mondo Pad collaboration that works, you'll see what I'm talking about. Versus Colorado. This was a drive that started off real early for Colorado, and if I played every single play on this drive, it was power play. Inside zone, power, over and over again. Read zone, 1 keep for Sefo Lufau. You can see here they spread the defense using an empty formation, run a quarterback draw, 8 easy yards. UCLA really struggles when it comes to playing the run, especially in wide spaces using the spread. Well, then all of a sudden, Colorado decides to get cute. They're down by 7. They force themselves into a 3rd and goal because then all of a sudden they decided to run some weird, unbalanced sweep deal, and it blew up in their face. So it got them into a 3rd and goal from the 8-yard line, and now they decide Sefo's got to throw. And here's an experienced quarterback, and watch the play made by the UCLA defensive back. Ends up being a pick 6, really breaks the back of Colorado for a long time. Now, good for Colorado, and you saw the Miami clip there, right? I mean, that should have been called. But what it ended up doing was taking all the momentum they had built and really threw it away. Colorado was a tough team, got themselves back into the game. But when they just really stuck their nose in the dirt and decided to pound the football, they were highly successful. And that's really my key to the game for the Beavs, is just be as physical as you can and run the football. And Nick Mitchell in particular could be a huge key in this game.
Obviously, we've talked about Seth Collins, leading rusher on the team when he would play. I mean, he had the legs. Nick had, 40 yards last week, I think, rushing.
Yeah, and you don't have to be Seth Collins necessarily. What you have to be is be a threat. There has to be something that keeps the defense honest. There's times when you've watched one of my, and I'll be honest with you, I know this is #Beavs, but one of my favorite people is Chip Kelly, just because I know him personally and he's like a riot. All right. But when I watch the Philadelphia Eagles, Sam Bradford running that offense is almost a travesty because there is zero threat from the quarterback. So you watch defenses, they don't even respect him. all it takes is the quarterback to pull that ball 3 times and to get chunks of 8, 10 yards, and it's enough to keep people off balance that actually opens up your running game for your running backs.
All right.
Played against it. I mean, as soon as you see that quarterback pull it out and he's running, all of a sudden in your head, you're looking all over the places. You don't know what's going to happen. And, I mean, as a defensive end, that slows even my pass rush so much because you just don't know where that ball is going to be. And it gets hard when a quarterback can do that to you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, UCLA favored by 17.5 points. But coming up next, we will get to the one reason why the Beavers, their biggest chance, and it's because of the defense of UCLA. We'll turn our attention there more in depth when we come back on #Beavers Football. Slade's family is here in the background. We always love when we have people come to visit us on this show. Hey, take a look at this. This is not the UCLA starting defense. This is the injuries taking people out. They are just been ravaged by injuries. Yeah, exactly. Ravaged by injuries on defense and causing some issues for them. As you mentioned earlier, their offense is having to score a whole lot of points to overcome that.
It's been tough for him. I mean, Moore was quoted saying that he wasn't even sure who was out there on certain plays throughout the game, and the D coordinator was just talking about how he was just trying to piece things together and throw guys in certain positions they never played before. I mean, he really dumbed down the play calling so they could just get through the game. But they've been struggling. I mean, the last 4 out of 5 Pac-12 games, they've given up over 30 points. They started out as a very talented, very strong defense, and it's been sad for them to see how it's dwindled so far.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting to their thirds. Now, their thirds are still 4-star guys.
As you showed, they can still make plays.
I mean, they still got guys. There's a guy who got a pick. I'm like, who is that? I don't even know who that is. But, yeah, I mean, it affects you when you're a team that they're talking about winning the Pac-12 South. I mean, you see that laundry list of issues. I mean, 9 starters have missed games on one side of the football is insane. I mean, and now, to be honest with you, been there. I mean, I've had that happen as a coach, but you have to find ways to adjust, and nobody cares. Nobody's going to make excuses, so you have to just kind of continue to roll.
And obviously that playing into their poor rush defense, as you talked about earlier, Nigel, and in just their 5 Pac-12 games, going back when they've had, the injuries have really set in, giving up almost 246 yards a game on the ground in the last 5 Pac-12 games. Yeah, that's huge.
It's 208, and you ain't playing UNLV anymore. I mean, it's, yeah. And as much as it's their inexperience, and it is, a lot of it just has to do with the fact that a lot of the same issues that crept up for the Beavers in certain situations, guys not fitting correctly, and they have really struggled in space. I mean, when you watch them, the other thing that, and this is back really before the injuries mounted, we broke them down at the Pac-12 network when they played BYU, and a lot of times you would see them make contact and get drugged for first downs. So they weren't really running their feet. I made the joke that we would be just doing, sled drills all day to get guys to run their feet on contact. But it's really been an issue for them. And there's really not a better opponent, at least offensively, for the Beavers to face than UCLA right now, being that the strength of the Beavers is running the football.
All right, well, let's get to a tweet coming in talking just about that. UCLA's rush defense ranks last in the Pac-12. Will the Beavers try to run up the middle or outside on the edge? Look at Nigel's going like this.
2 words, one guy, Kenny Clark. That's why you stay on the outside. Now, that's great. We showed a run of them running up the middle. But really, a lot of that is based on zone read football where you're actually moving things to a side. And they run the 3-4s. There's a lot of stunts, too. But Kenny Clark is a grown man, and you're not going to really move him a whole lot off the line of scrimmage.
What if you put in a guy like Ryan, though? I mean, a guy that's big, double team that, risk him taking on somebody in the hole and then busting through? Because tackling, like you said, isn't their strong suit.
Like I said, if you really break them down, their issue is in space. So, I love Ryan, obviously, when we talked about, heck, right before the segment, I text his mom, his brother, everybody, and him. Like, hey, we're about to talk about you. So turn the TV. So I love the kid, but, I think this game, I think his blocking is going to be hugely valuable. But in terms of, I think this might be a Chris Brown game. I mean, a guy... this might be a game where maybe Vic can get some fly sweeps and do some things because in open field, they just, for whatever reason, have really had an issue. I think when you run downhill on them, you're maybe playing to the only strength they have in terms of run defense. But, stranger things have happened. And if it's rainy and cold and you get those boys, them LA boys from Southern California who haven't acclimatized to it like the boys from LA that suit up in Corvallis, anything's possible.
Well, we thought that the Utah game was the game for Ryan Nall. The power game, weren't we talking about that?
Oh, the Utah game, we wanted to get to the outside because we didn't want to run up the middle on those guys. We wanted to stretch them out and run around them.
I'm not sure Utah has a talented defensive tackle like Kenny Clark, though. I mean, he's a dude.
You're more scared of him individually than the entire Utah front?
No. I'm just talking about in terms of where is the strength on the defense for UCLA? It's him, right in the middle. That's probably not where I want to run when I know that there's issues in particular on the outside linebackers and that defensive end who's really the tackle-ish, right, for their defensive ends in their system. That's kind of where they've struggled. And their secondary is pretty talented, too.
And that's why you couldn't see Nigel when we first asked this question. He was going like this. Get to the outside. Avoid Kenny.
Yeah. I mean, and, you know, and the guy's not Superman, but, you know, I'm gonna pick on your weakness, and he's not the weakness of that defense.
It is the return that is still being talked about 6 days later. Oh my, oh my. Miami and Duke. I think the latest with Miami's president saying, just get over it. We won, okay?
Another person that should be slapped.
The eight lateral play. I mean, check this out if you haven't seen it.
Can we stop this or pause it,
so we can
Kyle?
see the knee hitting?
Oh no, there's multiple things to stop. Is it possible, Kyle? Because, all right, we're all good here. We've stayed fairly legal. All right, hold on. Keep going.
We're back to the
8 laterals.
All right, wait, and right. He's down. Okay, now, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. We're going to have a couple clips. Can you count the clips, Slade? There you go. There's one. That one can count. Oh, there's one. All right. That one was legal.
I just don't see how you can miss this.
Now, can anybody, there's 2. Now, can anybody tell me why the last guy gets clipped? Because this made no sense. Go ahead and clip him.
Right here. Clip
and then
him.
look at my man on the 15-yard line. Okay? He's on the field. He was not on the field.
With his helmet off, too.
His helmet's off. He's running on the field when the guy's at the 20-yard line just running down the, and so the refs, basically, they throw the flag, say there was a clip.
The refs were just like, what in the world? Like, they
had a plane to catch. They had a plane to catch, and they weren't going to let anything. Hey, those planes, it was commercial. I don't know what it was. I mean, it was crazy.
It was reported
a 49-second.
The refs missed 4 critical errors.
Yeah, I mean.
On one play. They're suspended now.
Yeah, as well they should be. They should be banned.
And they also messed up the pass interference call earlier in that game, too.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean,
it was fun, though. It was fun.
I mean, yeah.
But we got to ask you, though. So Duke's calling for the game to be overturned.
So I'm kind of on both sides of the fence on this one. I'm going to take a stand.
You got to take a stand. You cannot be on both sides of this fence.
You still can't reverse the game. You can't because, just like you said, there was a pass interference call. Or what about a bad holding call?
Yeah.
Where do you stop and say, well, the game really changed on this? Because even the score that Duke had was controversial. Did he really get in to even get to a 3-point game at the end with 6 seconds left? And they had to go to review on that, and it was just a scrum, and they didn't really know if he had scored. So at what point do you say, well, you know, we're going to call it back because of this? Now, maybe if you said the last play was the thing that changed the game, and that could be the thing, all right, fine. I could live with that. But, you know, if you can go back and start reviewing everything, I just think it's bad. Now, I do also think that the Miami president should keep his mouth shut. I mean, that's stupid. But you know, there's another place.
I just feel bad for Duke here, though, because now they're looking at a
Miami
2-loss team now. They were a 1-loss team. They had a lot of chances to do something if they go win out.
Is it Donna Shalala?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Donna, love you, but you got Silencio, por favor. Hey, all I know is this. The interim head coach at Miami, Larry Scott, I coached him in South Florida.
Really?
2 years. Yeah, I was my first year coaching. Larry was a junior, and he was kind of that tweener, tight end, offensive tackle kid who really just made it. Yeah, and we had some good players, and he really made it based on he worked hard, and he was smart, and now he's become a coach, and really proud of him.
Did you text him after that or anything?
I didn't text him. I figured he was getting blown up. I didn't want to be that guy.
Goodness.
He texted me during the season, you know, this season, like, hey, you know, and I'm really proud of him, but that one there was.
So now I see why you don't overturn it. Okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
All right. When we come back, it's keys to the game. It does not involve 8 lateral plays. They do not involve hot tubs. Josh Rosen. I mean, I never had a hot tub in my dorm room at UCLA.
That's inflatable though. That is really cool. I gotta get one. Why am I fat? I am fat. What? I worked out yesterday and today, and you are hairy.
That is a hairy chest
My
right there. I am hot in that hot tub.
Oh, my goodness. We'll be right back.
You had a body.
Welcome back. Nice and blue skies over Register Stadium on this day, but not expected to be that way tomorrow. The forecast calling for rain, mid-50s, and actually for the Beavers have the best chance. You want it to rain, right? I think so. All right, this is our programming coming to you Wednesday night. Talking Beavers with Slade and Mike Parker and Lindsay Schnell.
Who?
Thursday Inside the Huddle, and we wanted to bring this up because hashtag Beavers Football will be on Thursday nights at 8:30 immediately following Inside the Huddle for the next 2 weeks. Next 2 weeks, and then of course always CSN Game Day on Saturday mornings to get you ready for the big game day. And then, of course, Civil War Week, but Thursday's Thanksgiving, right? So we'll be here Wednesday. So no more Friday nights, Thursdays and Wednesdays from here on out. So make sure that you join us a couple nights early. All right, time for the keys to the game. And Rob writes in 4 more points. That's just like
Rob
needs to the opponent.
He needs to change his deal to Captain Obvious.
He does. Alex writes in, keep the offense on the field to wear down the Bruins' injury-depleted defense.
I like that. Win time of possession. Run the ball. Run the ball.
Yeah. All right, Nigel. What are your keys? We had one key that we wanted to do more than once, but we didn't have room for it.
Well, when you're facing a bunch of great athletes and they have trouble stopping the run, you run the football. And my second key, because they give up 208 yards rushing, is don't pass.
Run the football.
Run the football. And my third key really was don't pass, run the football. And then, really, I think the Reeser crowd. And I keep bringing this up only because I've just seen when you have a young football team, how different it is for those guys when they sleep in their own beds. They're at a place they're comfortable. The crowd is behind them. It's much more emotional for a young player than it is for a seasoned vet who's kind of been through all the wars. And so I really think the Reeser crowd is going to be a big deal for them, is to get behind them, especially if the Beavs jump on the Bruins early on in a game. Get some momentum going. You need really every ounce of confidence that you can get in a game like this, and I think the Reeser crowd is going to be huge in kind of keeping that going and keeping the energy going for the young Beaver team.
And that is a perfect segue to my number one key to the game.
The Reeser crowd?
Yes.
Oh, look at that.
And an early start.
Well, I was going to say that if he wore his orange pants to the stadium, it would get the crowd going.
We said we're not going to talk about it. Stop.
We don't need the picture, Kyle. We don't need the picture.
Stop.
So, my first key is to start fast. We are at home. If we get up on them early, we get that racer crowd going. Like you said, it's a young team, and I think the biggest challenge with us is going to be to stop them. I think we can score on them. I think we can run the ball on them. I don't think scoring is going to be a problem. I think our defense is going to have to hold them. That's going to be a struggle. And so if we get that crowd going, really fuel our defense. And UCLA, they've been outscored the last 4 of 5 Pac-12 games in the second half.
I was going to say.
In the second half.
In the second half.
I got so if we win that, we win the first half, the second half should be easy then, all downhill.
Sure.
Number 2, we need a 100-yard rusher. Like Coach was saying, run the ball, control that time of possession, keep that defense on the field, beat them up. And then my third one, the last one, Josh hasn't been pressured yet this year. They've only given up 9 sacks. They're number 1 in the Pac-12 in sacks allowed. If we can get some pressure on Josh, get him uncomfortable in there, hit him a few times, something he hasn't dealt with yet, then we got a great shot to win this game.
No doubt. I'm with you.
It is a widespread 17.5 points, but you really take a look at what's going on with UCLA.
I love Vegas. I love them because there's always one game they just give you money. If they're 17-point favorites, UCLA.
Yeah.
Oh God, I might actually, babe. I'm going to the bank. We're gonna refi. We're putting all the money on the Beavs this week. There's no way. There's no way because the other thing is the fact. Look at Colorado, who the Beavs took toe-to-toe with, goes to the Rose Bowl, and really should have won that football game. And now they're on the road in Corvallis. No way.
So they won't lose by 50 then.
No. You know what? We're gonna start the Schnell Slade bus.
Okay.
This is gonna keep backing over me, back and forth.
Thank you for joining us. Good luck to the Beavs tomorrow.